how do you wrap everything up in a pretty bow. So today is going to be kind of a a prerequisite to having that conversation and understanding that training, because being able to identify whether or not you can help a client and where the wealth transfers are is the difference between being able to make some money and not make any money. And the other thing is wealth transfers are hidden. I mean, I've heard count for the last couple of weeks, how do you know if you can help a client? Where's the wealth transfer? And for a lot of agents, if it's just not painstakingly obvious, they don't do anything and they leave money on the table. So we definitely don't want you leaving money on the table. Why? Because one, you can help the client over the long haul. Two, your commissions and case size will get bigger. So we want both of those to happen, and I don't want you guys missing anything. The other situation or other thing I want to talk about is how the Wealth Accelerator is probably one of the most powerful tools that exist in the financial arena right now on the personal side. And the reason I say that is that so many advisors and agents are just cash flow inept, and thus their client is. And so this is a wonderful tool that helps your client manage and optimize their cash flow. And cash flow is the most important asset besides time. I mean, when you look at the personal economic model that we use in the private reserve conversation, and I'll bring it up in case you guys don't have a visual here, but in the personal economic model, you'll see you see this tube right here? I'm just going to highlight it. See that tube? That's called monthly cash flow. When that stops, you stop. Without cash flow, you can't fill these buckets up. You can't fill these tanks up. Without cash flow, you ain't got a lifestyle. All right? So do you believe, are you convinced that if you can optimize this cash flow, you could do more here, here, and here? The answer is yes. But then the question is, how do you optimize it? So the Wealth Accelerator, if you haven't gone through the training that we have on the Wealth Accelerator and how to have that conversation and how to communicate how powerful it is, I encourage you to go ahead and look at that webinar and get confident and comfortable with the client presentation. And honestly, if you guys are not, at the end of your initial consultation, if you're not handing a client a cash flow worksheet, you're leaving money on the table. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be, everybody you talk to is going to be Wealth Accelerator, but you need to see the cash flow. You're a doctor. Think like a doctor, right? If you're a GI doctor, right, dealing with the stomach, you just don't want to look at the stomach, but you want to look at the labs, okay, because the labs can be telling about one thing or the other. Look at cash flow kind of like looking at, like doctors look at lab work, okay? How's the blood doing? How's all that doing? Because usually there are